guys, it's Jessica from Peace Love Books, and today I'm here with the first half of my May wrap up. It is actually, I think, the 16th that I'm filming this today, so we have officially gone through hello, half of the month. This is Bailey. I am watching my parents' dogs right now, and she's probably like, what are you doing? Because I don't think she's ever been here when I've been filming before, and she's like, who are you talking to? So she just came in very excited. Gigi is probably close behind. These are my parents' dogs. They are on vacation, so I've had them for the week, and they are the cutest, but we'll see if she just hangs out with me. I have read a total of 7 books. I've been quite busy and honestly have not been doing a lot of like eyeball reading. I have read 2 physically, but I have read 5 by audio. So I was flying through an audiobook series last weekend, and I also have a ton of crochet projects coming up, so I feel like May is going to be a very audio heavy month, which isn't bad. So I'm very excited. I am also working on a vlog, so we'll see when that happens because I've been working on it for over a week now. I've just finished 1 book, so we will see. But the first book that I read this month is Feral Omega by, I don't even know who this author is, Lenore Rosewood, and this is a Omegaverse, and I am very new to Omegaverse. I was just chatting with my Patreon yesterday. We were doing reading sprints, and I was like, who am I? Like, I am really loving Omegaverse right now. It's such a fun genre. I did first discover it when I read After Moon was my first one, but I have been loving like cozy Omegaverse, and so someone recommended this one. It is like kind of apocalyptic. She is basically in this like insane asylum, and these very brutal alphas are forced to take on an omega to kind of like rein them in, I guess, and she's placed with them. So the book goes from there. I didn't love this as much as I wanted to. It was a recommendation from a friend, and I was very excited. I think I had too high of expectations, but it was just okay. Like, I was still very confused about like the whole world. I don't know if like it needed more world building or what, but I was like, what even happened? Why are we like post-apocalyptic? Who's doing what? They went on these like missions and stuff, and I feel like also the last 20% of this book was spice. And that's it. And I was like, oh, I wanted like more back to the plot so we could like learn more about the story and stuff. So I was very disappointed in that aspect. So it's mostly like a 3-star read, maybe 3.5 if I'm being generous, but I don't honestly think I'll continue on in the series. It was just fine. I wasn't ever like super invested or engaged in the story. The heroes were fine. I did enjoy them and how different they were, but it just could have done so much more in this story. And maybe it's because I listened to the audio, but I just like wasn't loving it and I wasn't caring. So by the time I got to the end, I was like, okay, cool. We're still on spicy time, and to be fair, when you have multiple heroes, it kind of does take a while, but it was okay. 3 stars for this one, but I did get it through my library, which was great that it was on Hoopla. Then I did read Be With Me by Gabrielle Sands. I had an arc of this. This one is actually a mafia romance, and I love this. I gave it 4.5 stars. This one, our heroine is the daughter of this guy running for mayor, and it reminds me a lot of the show Night Agent with the president's daughter in that show, if you've seen it. So in this one, she's really forced to go on a lot of his campaigns, and she's like an integral part of his campaigning. She does a lot of speeches and stuff. She has a lot of expectation put on her. She is a kind of like a stylist for people in New York, and so she's really passionate about her work, and she, though, hasn't heard from her friend in a while. She got a random text from her friend with like, oh, come to my engagement party, and then that friend tried to like delete the text, so she realizes her friend's engaged and never told her, so she shows up at the party, and she's planning to confront her, like, what is going on? Why are you ignoring me? And it's the house of a notorious mafia family, and she's like, oh, and so she ends up hiding in the bedroom with her friend, and her friend's like, I couldn't tell you, your dad is literally the mayor. The main part of his platform is to take down the mafia in New York. And so she's like, oh, that actually makes sense. And so she is hiding, and a guy finds her in there, and he is actually the son of one of the mafia families, and he doesn't recognize her at first, but like immediately learns who she is, and he is so obsessed and gone for her, and he can't stay away from her. And I love a hero, especially a mafia one, who is like, I love you. Like, he didn't say that at first, but he's literally like, I'm obsessed with you, you're gonna be mine. And that's basically what he was, and I really loved that. And we learn a lot about his past, which is really, really tragic and sad, and what it means for him to be in the mafia, what it means for her to support her dad, and like what he might be up to. And I was just fully engaged the whole time. I had so much fun. I don't know if you can hear Bailey sniffing the mic. She's so curious. Hello. You can't see her, but she's literally right here. Anyways, I gave this 4.5 stars. I really loved it. Highly recommend checking this out. Probably my favorite Gabrielle Sands book I've read to date. So very excited for this series to continue. Then I did read the entire Deception trilogy by Rena Kent. This was a buddy read with my Patreon. We pick a series a month to read together, and this was technically last month's, but we ran out of time, so we did it at the beginning of this month. And this is my third complete series by Rena Kent. Maybe second. I read the Monster trilogy. Yeah, I think this is my second like fully complete. I haven't finished other series I've started by her yet, but this is another mafia romance, and I was so excited, and I love the Monster trilogy. I do think I started too high because I don't think anything's gonna beat the Monster trilogy for me, but the first book is Vow of Deception, and this one I gave a solid 4 stars. So in this one, the heroine is homeless and the hero is in the mafia. He sees her on the street and he's like, "You look exactly like my dead wife. Come and be her for me and marry me and pose as my dead wife because nobody knows she's dead and I need you to do that." And so she does, and there's a lot of secrets in here. I will say the twist was like kind of obvious to me. I guessed it pretty early on, and I always say this, but I'm someone who like doesn't actually like seek out to like guess twists. If it comes to me while I'm reading and it's true, that means it was pretty obvious from the author to actually like have that in the book. And so I feel like the twist was pretty obvious. There was like a second twist that I was like, oh, that's interesting, but I wasn't like blown away by it. But it was really fun to see her go into this like mafia world and literally just pretend to be a mafia wife. And I had a lot of fun reading it. So it was 4 stars, flew through it, had a massive cliffhanger like hers always do. Went into book 2, which I gave 3.5 stars. I am someone who I need my plot to move, and I do love flashbacks, but I like them when they're purposeful and they're interspersed in the book. This one, unfortunately, was entirely a flashback book. So we literally had all this momentum in book 1, and book 2 was like, just kidding, we're gonna go back and give you context. And I'm just like, I don't need that. I just want to know what happens next. And so I think it kind of just really pulled me out of the story and super caring about their romance, because this was also the longest book of the trilogy and I did not need that much context. And one of my pet peeves is when it shows us what they've already told us, because then it just feels redundant at this point, and I wish they would have just shown us instead of telling us in the first book and just like spread it out over 2 books. So I didn't super love the structure of this trilogy. I just feel like book 2 kind of took me out a little bit. So this was 3.5, but then book 3 I did give 4 stars. So like overall it's a solid 4-star series. I had so much fun reading it, especially books 1 and 3, because book 3 had like a lot of different things going on that it was just like so much going on, and I was definitely entertained the whole time and intrigued, and I was like, what the heck is happening? What are all these answers? Who are all these people? Why is all this happening? And I had a lot of fun reading that. So I just had a lot of fun. I will rate this 4 stars overall as a series, 4, 3.5, 4 for the individual books. But if you like dark mafia romances where the hero becomes obsessed, I think you'll like this. Another very solid from Rena, and I'm still excited to read more of her backlist. Oh, I knew she was gonna come in. Hello, G. Oh, she's gonna breathe really heavy into the mic. Can you move over here? Or get in my lap? Okay. I just don't want her breathing to be picked up by the mic. Okay, because she's definitely a heavy breather. Then I read Dire Bound by Sable Sorensen. This is one that I'm reading in a reading vlog, so that is going to come later, but this one I'm giving 4.5 stars. I was pleasantly surprised by this. However, I just have one like major pet peeve when it comes to this book. So this one is really similar to Fourth Wing. We have characters who have to go through a trial in order to bond with these dire wolves, and they become dire bound, and then they have to train to be these dire bound, and they like work in their packs and they have to work together, and like the weakest people are constantly like picked off through training, so you can die at any second. And the heroine is one of the trainees. Big problem in the society is that children are taken, and so she's really passionate about trying to figure out like what's happening to these children, why are they being taken, and that's why she has signed up to do this. And so it goes from there, and I really loved how fast-paced this was. I loved all the action. I loved where the story was going. I really did enjoy the heroine. However, it is, and I don't think this is a spoiler, it is pretty clear from, if you are any kind of romance reader, from the moment we meet this one character, you know he's gonna be the hero. And you know as she interacts with him, he's gonna be the love interest. Like that's who he is. However, she is in a relationship with someone else. And every sex scene in this book, and there were 5 in this one book, so it's a spicy romance, were with the not hero. They were with her current love interest, and I don't care. about those scenes with someone who's not endgame. I was like, okay, another scene with this guy. What about this guy over here? Like, I know you're gonna be with him. Go focus on there. So like, romance-wise, there was barely any romance with her and who you know she's going to end up with, which is very frustrating. So that's my biggest like gripe with this book, was that we had so much spice and it was with a character who was not the hero. So take that as you will. And I gave it 4.5 stars. The last 10% was like a 6 star for me. That was like, I'm obsessed. I'm kicking my feet. I'm like telling every single reaction to my sister who's already read it. Loved it. And then a whole debrief with Tori when I was done because she's already read it. But so good, but 4.5 stars. I'll round up to 5, but I'm very, very excited for book 2. And the last book I read is Tourist Trap by Morgan Elizabeth. If you can't tell, I have not been in a contemporary mood. I've been reading Omegaverse, Why Choose, Mafia, and fantasy. That's all I've been reading. So I read this one and it was very cute, and I am rating it based off of how I would rate it if I was in the mood for a contemporary romance, because I was not in the mood for this, but I had an arc of it and I really wanted to read it because the book came out this week. If you're looking for a really sweet summer romance, like, this is for you. I think that the end dragged a little bit because the romance was pretty much complete and we still had I don't know how long this audiobook was, but we still had 4 hours of the audiobook left, and the romance was like pretty much tied up in a little bow, and I was like, oh, is the rest of the book plot? Like, with my contemporary, I don't love that, so that made me not love it as much. So it's probably more like a 3.5, but I would round up to 4, and I think the 3.5 is also because I'm not feeling contemporary at the moment, so take that with my review. But this is a book where the heroine is not from their town and she doesn't really know what she wants to do, and I relate to that so much as someone who did a career change in my 30s, like when I turned 30, when I was 29, whenever it was, I think I was still 29, I completely switched careers, and that's terrifying. And she really doesn't know what she wants to do. I think she's mid-20s, and so she works for the like town recreation and planning, and she comes back to this small town and she sees her ex's older brother. He has this house that I think his grandparents had passed down, and his brother was her ex, and he's slimy, he's not a good guy, and so she obviously broke up with him. But there's like a lot of history between them, her and the hero and his brother, and like how she started dating the brother, and she ends up needing a place to stay, and they're like, oh hey, like, he's renting out a room. So she applies and he doesn't know until she shows up that she's the one renting the room, and he's like, it's you? And she's like, yeah, I'm here. And so she ends up creating like this to-do list for them for the summer, and they end up doing things together. Like, it's a very fun, cute summer romance. But like I said, and I did like how like the dynamic between the characters and how they address things from their past and how she got together with the ex and like their families and the family drama, and her parents thought that she just really wasn't being serious and settling down because she just like never had a serious career that she was interested in, so that's another plot point. But like I said, like, the ending was a lot more of like external conflict with the plot, and I read romance for the romance, and so especially like contemporary romance, like if it's fantasy or mafia, I'm like, oh, this is so entertaining, like I don't really care if we're not focusing on the romance right now because like this is a crazy plot. But this one is just like small town plot, and I was like, this is fine, like we're together now. I just have to read 4 hours of this audiobook to figure out how they're gonna solve their main conflict in the town. So that was just a little lackluster for me finishing this, which is why it's more 3.5 stars. But perfect summer read if you're in the mood for something in the summer, because it's super small town and ex's brother romance, which is still really great. And those are the romances I read in the first half of May. Let me know what you've read so far this month and what your favorite read has been so far. Let me know if you've read these, and let me know what you're currently like craving in romance, because I feel like I'm in such a weird reading mood. Can we not lick my drink, sweetie? I'm in such a weird reading mood right now, and I gotta go with it. I know that if I don't let myself mood read, it's gonna really affect how I feel about books that I'm reading and rating, so I just need to let myself mood read. That is gonna be the theme for the rest of May. So I hope you guys have a great month, and if you've made it this far, leave me a puppy emoji, since I've had puppies who have not left me alone this entire video. Gigi says goodbye. Bailey says goodbye. She is back up here. My dogs are downstairs. They do not care when I film. They love to hang out downstairs. These two hang out upstairs with me all day. My dogs do love me. These two are just a little bit of more Velcro dogs than my own dogs. So that's all I have. As always, thank you so much for watching and have a good day. Bye.